Hi, my teachers, principals, educators. In the last episode, I was trying to explain to you that to teach is to understand. See, actually, there are two types of understanding. You should understand the subject, you should understand the students in front of you. In fact, there is a third variable also, the student should understand you. So, the whole game of teaching is around the word understanding each other, understanding the subject. The more we understand an area, the more we understand a technology, the more we can play around it. Next time when you watch a dancer or a music lover or a musician, see the way they play around that instrument. This is the music season. You go to the music concert, the way they play around, they enjoy it. We should learn from that. The musician enjoys and the audience also enjoy. It's a good metaphor. A teacher should enjoy teaching and the taught should also enjoy the teaching. That's why I am explaining to you that how do we understand? How do you give a shape to these definitions of teaching? That's what we are trying to explore. You may recall some time back I gave a model. Quickly I am going to touch on that before we go to the next episode. We said that every student has a talent. We said the purpose of education is to show a platform to the student. Up to this, it's fine. But in the platform, how far he is going to travel, what is that he is going to achieve, depends upon empowerment. So a teacher can change the reach of the students in the platform. A teacher can redefine the purpose of living, the purpose of achieving to the students. That's why the teacher makes a very big difference in the platform of the child. Once you have empowered the child, then the knowledge acquisition becomes a fun. The knowledge acquisition becomes a pleasant experience. They enjoy. At that point of time, the imparting of knowledge is a pleasure. Integrating the knowledge is also a pleasure, for which the teachers should have certain skill. The skill of communication, the skill of empowerment, the skill of motivating children, the skill of controlling the classroom, the skill of retaining the attention of the children, the skill of making the students excited about the process of education. So it's a combination of various skills. That's why a teacher is different, an empowering teacher is different. And once you understand this becomes very easy. Ultimately, it is a focus. What you love doing, you will like it. What you like doing, you will do it with all your concentration. For this to happen, the attitude of the students, the attitude of the teachers, very, very important. And the passion, the degree of passion, the intensity of passion in the classroom, the combined passion of the teachers and the students put together will decide the focus. Then the rest of it is very, very automatic. You don't bother what behavior should be there in the classroom, what action should be there in the classroom. Because this is a result of these factors. I hope I made myself very clear. So it's not that we walk into a classroom with your notes of lessons, you are there with a smart board, but are you a smart teacher? Is very, very, very important. No technology can replace a teacher, especially no technology can replace an empowering teacher. So once you have understood this, then we will be back to where we left last time. Last time I took you through these various types of people. I talked about the visual, auditory and kinesthetic students. A visual student has the process of seeing to learn. He has to see the picture vividly. You have to project in front of the student the vision of his life once he learns this subject. Then there are auditory students who had to be told, who had to repeat. So the voice modulation and the various qualities of speaking and communication and delivery and presentation makes a very big difference. And then we have the kinesthetic students who have to do it in order to learn it. Then the timeline, the past, present and the future. Once you understand these three components, whether the child is past oriented, the child is future oriented, the child is present oriented. I also touched about others, external and self-internal. Where is the driving force? Is it the inside? The child should be convinced. Fundamentally, the child should be convinced. If the child is others external, the child is motivated by seeing others. That's the third thing we discussed. Today, I am going to discuss what is moving away and what is moving toward. I want to give you two words: pain and pleasure. There are two basic instincts, pain or the pleasure. Either you do a job because of the pleasure you derive out of it, or you do it to avoid the pain. Next time when you go to your classroom, ask this question and watch for the answer. Or when you meet your friend, ask this question and notice the answer. For example, you go to a friend of yours and ask, supposing he is jogging, you ask him, what do you jog? You ask 10 different people and watch for the answer. Now, a person says, I am jogging because I don't want to be overweight. Another student or another person says, I am jogging, I don't want sickness. A third person says, I jog, I don't want to be lazy. So in all this, I don't want X. So they want to avoid certain things, In order to avoid those things, they do something. When you ask this question, you will also come across answers. I want to be fit. What do you want to jog? I want to be fit. Why do you want to jog? I want to be active. Why are you reading a book? I want to acquire knowledge. So, list the first set of answers and list the second set of answers, and then you will understand what is moving away and what is moving toward. Now, supposing a person says, I am jogging because I don't want sickness. So, there is going to be sickness. There is going to be a probability of my putting on weight and resulting in various health related issues. I don't want it, so I am jogging. Or the opposite of that is, I want to look trim, so I am jogging. So, in these cases, it is not don't, I want why. The other person says, I don't want X. This person says, I want Y. I hope you have understood me. Let us relate it to a classroom situation. You have to ask the student to practice handwriting. Let's say that you are in the primary class. Ask the children, why do you want to practice handwriting? And watch for the answer. Or a teacher is explaining why handwriting practice is important. You don't want the punishment, so you write. You want appreciation, so you write. You don't want punishment is moving away. You want to be appreciated is moving toward. Moving away when? When you want to avoid the pain. Moving toward is when you want to seek the happiness that is associated with the action of writing the homework or writing the handwriting or a jogging. So there are again two types of people. A little while later I am going to combine all this and say how the language or the linguistic can be played around to produce a result. So you have understood, moving away is one type of motivation, moving toward is another type of motivation. Supposing a child is configured that only by avoiding pain he will do it, then you can say, if you don't practice your handwriting, you will get a negative credit point from me. You want that? If you come without doing your homework, I will punish you. So to avoid the punishment, the child will do the homework. Whereas if a child is moving towards child, you can say, you come with your homework completed, you will get a star from me. So this is different and this is different. The next one is even more interesting. There are students who are procedure oriented and there are students who are option oriented. Supposing you ask a person, how do you choose to buy a brand of mobile phone, let's say. You go and ask your friend. Supposing he gives you the procedure. First, I will go through the brochure. I will go into the details, the various procedures involved. And then I will go to the shop. I will look at the various things strictly by the procedure, or I will ask my friend what to do. He will tell me, go to the shop, inquire, ask for this brand, and this particular salesman, I know him, you introduce yourself as my friend, and he will show you, pay and come. Procedure. Option oriented person may agree with your procedure, but still he will have his own option. You ask your friend, how do you buy a smartphone? This friend might say, I have an option of buying. First of all, I want to buy a smartphone at all. I do not know. I will have to check. Then he will decide whether I should go for an Android based or iOS based. Whether I want to buy it here in the shop, or I may even think of ordering it online. Or you can say, I will try to use it. A friend of mine is having a spare phone. I will use it for a week, then I will exercise my option. So these are all option oriented. If a student is procedure oriented, you have to explain very clearly all the procedure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The child will have a checklist. But if the child is option oriented, if you give too much of instruction, the child will not like it. Similarly, if a child is option oriented, and if you are going to give a lot of procedural guidelines, the child may not like it. So, this is very interesting, procedure versus option orientation. The next one is big picture versus details. Big picture versus detail. Go and ask your friend, how would you buy a television set? He might say, I go and inquire, by and large, I go through the market share of a particular brand, and then I get convinced, then I order one. I go and purchase one. A detailed person will say, I will go sit with the salesperson. I will check what are all the features, various features, all the details. I will thoroughly discuss. If necessary, I will visit the shop couple of times, each and every detail, and then only I will purchase. So, the big picture person will not go into the details, and the detailed oriented person will not have a perspective of the big picture. I don't know whether you remember, in one of my episodes, I was talking to you about the right brain and the left brain theory. The right brain is big picture orientation. The left brain is procedure oriented or details oriented. The right brain says you have to be prosperous, you should have a dream. The left brain will help you what you should read, when you should read, how many hours you should work, like that. So the students are also big picture orientation students are there, and detailed orientation students are also there. The last but not the least is active versus passive orientation. Active orientation and practice or passive orientation. Active orientation or proactive. You put up a notice board saying you can collect the shoes or the canteen coupons. All the active oriented students will go and register their name first. For a passive student, you have to remind couple of times. You have to go and tell them couple of times. Not that they don't want, but immediate response will not be there. Passive. And so, in a classroom, you have these various combinations. In fact, there are more. For the purpose of explaining the basic fundamental, I am going to explain only this. In fact, there are about 32 ways you can measure a person. I don't want to make it very complicated. The whole world is there for you to observe. Next time, when you are in a party, when you are in the classroom, when you are even in the staff room discussing, notice what made you to buy that sari, What made you to buy that watch and watch the answer coming? Is it vision oriented, or it is he went and inquired, or he wore it and then he purchased it? Like that, each and every one of them tells you the inner program of a person. This is why I am telling you communication is very, very, very important. I wrote a book, Connect. One of these days I will do a few episodes from that book. A teacher is actually connecting. A salesman is actually connecting with the customer. A leader is actually connecting with his followers. Once you connect, the outcome will be completely different. So, my dear teachers, remember these orientations. Remember these inner dimensions of a person, and accordingly you can modulate your presentation skill. In the next episode, I am going to discuss a series of episodes on a very interesting topic called cognitive behavior therapy. I may take about 5 or 6 episodes. Cognitive behavior therapy. What is it? Wait for a week.